was always the Jags. It's always the Jags. It's always the Jags. Always the Jags.
Welcome back into Always the Jags, your podcast for everything Jacksonville, everything Jaguars, everything Duval. The Jaguars lost to the Bengals. To make it more clear, the Jaguars lost to Jake Browning again for the second time. This time it was on the road, but we lost. Now, I know originally I had picked us to lose this game, right? Like, based on us losing this game, we still end up going 10-7 in my predictions. But this is a different feeling kind of loss. This is not a loss that you want. I mean, obviously you don't want to lose at all, but good teams go out there and beat backup quarterbacks. Now, again, Bengals have two of the most superstar wide receivers we've seen in a long time, right? Like, but just you go out there and you beat. If Trevor is a better cornerback, then Trevor is getting paid as much as Joe Burrow. You go out there and you lead your team to win when Joe Burrow's backup goes down. Like, I mean, we're going to break down this game and how the Jaguars kind of got robbed, right? But amidst all of that, and I think Trevor did it, we're going to go through all of it, right? But at the end of the day, that's what good quarterbacks do. That's what a quarterback, if you get paid as much as Joe Burrow does, you go out and you beat his backup. It's just really that simple. And that's why a lot of Jaguars fans are upset, even though, yes, the Bengals are a tough team. Yes, the Bengals are a playoff contender. Yes, the Bengals, were the only team that have beaten the Chiefs in the AFC Championship over the last 3 years, right? 4 or 5 years. So, yeah, and all those things are very, very true, right? And even though the Bengals didn't make the playoffs last season, they still were a threat, right? Because as long as you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins out there, that is threatening. And the Bengals were uniquely situated to take advantage of our weakness because our secondary is still coming together. They played a lot better in week 1, but they're still trying to come together, and it's very hard. And they have, again, some of the best receiving threats in the game. And there were some ridiculous offensive play calls, right? Like the one-handed touchdown catch was insane. The way that their offensive coordinator dialed up the perfect play to answer us on a blitz on 3rd and 5 ended up being a touchdown. I don't know if it was 4th and 5 or 3rd and 5 or what, but all of those things. So we'll go into the highs and the lows of this game, what we can take away, and then we'll move on to the Texans and what we got to do to beat them. Obviously, the elephant in the room is Trevor Lawrence. And it's tough to really evaluate him, right, in this game because a lot of the mistakes in this game were not on him. He did miss some throws, right? But there were a lot of mistakes. It's hard to know, like, were they mistakes or would have been the team, like, picking him up, right? Like, a ball he threw, Brian Thomas Jr. deflected it, and it landed in the breadbasket for Travis Hunter. Now, I know he's not expecting that, but you catch that. You're a wide receiver. Now, Travis Hunter is a rookie, right? Expecting him to come in and transform in week 1 is a little tough, and I think he's going to get his sea legs under him. But you catch that. If it hits you in the breadbasket area, you just catch it, even on a deflection. Would have been a huge play. I think Trevor had 2 or 3 picks in this game, but one of those picks, I think it was a miscommunication because I think Brian Thomas Jr. either stopped his route or didn't know the ball was coming to him, or he was afraid of getting hit over the middle. And we'll talk about Brian Thomas Jr. too in a little bit. And then I can't remember exactly what the other pick was, but I think it was just a bad throw. But I think my biggest concern for Trevor Lawrence, my biggest thing is it was either 4th and 2 and 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 2. And Trevor heaves a pass way downfield. And the thing I don't understand, he had a clear path in front of him to go pick up the first down and get out of bounds. Why he didn't run it in. And, like, again, that's not the biggest mistake of the game. There were other mistakes. But to me, that's one thing that was completely in his control. And I don't know if he didn't know where the marker was, or maybe he just didn't want to run, or maybe he just didn't feel like sliding. But there was a clear path, because from where he was, if he ran diagonally towards the sideline, he would have outrun the defender and got the first down. And he's done that a lot before. So I don't understand why he didn't, right? So that's something that's hard to um flush out. But again, if we swap it, if Trevor Lawrence has Jamar Chase and T Higgins, I mean, obviously the Jaguars probably win by a lot. But the main thing is, if Trevor Lawrence has Jamar Chase and T Higgins, they don't drop that touchdown that Dyami Brown dropped, and they don't drop the ball in 4th and 5 that Brian Thomas Jr. dropped, and they don't drop the ball that landed in Travis Hunter's breadbasket. All of our top 3 receivers had huge game-changing drops. And that's not something that you can really like. I mean, players make mistakes. Like he had a bad interception in the end zone. Yes, that was a mistake. Even though you have pressure coming in your face and that affected his throw, that's a throw it away moment. So we can go get points. And it's hard to make that quick thinking that was pressure, but that's still on Trevor. It's on Walker Little for allowing the pressure, but it's still on Trevor for not throwing it out the back of the end zone when that pressure came. So going back to because like interceptions, that can be defensive coverages, that can be things where the defense flummoxes you or tricks you. There's a lot of ways that a defense can influence you to make those kind of mistakes. But a dropped ball, there is no one to blame but yourself. And sometimes it's hard for me to understand how like NFL players out here making millions of dollars, got to the highest level in professional sports, are just dropping the ball. Again, when it hits you in the hands, now it's different if it hits you in the hands and you get tackled at the same time, right? Contact can make a difference. But all of these drops, no contact. It hits you in the hands and you just didn't pull it in. And again, I don't understand how you can cash your check for millions of dollars and not pull in the ball. If Dyami Brown catches it, we win. If Travis Hunter catches it in the breadbasket, we probably win because I think that was on 3rd down. If Brian Thomas Jr. catches it on 4th and 5, we win. And it's hard for a Jaguars fan to fathom it, especially because we kind of thought wide receiver would be our strength going into the season. And it kind of feels like that's why we lost the game. And throughout the first 3 weeks, like, to me, you got to do whatever's working, right? I don't need Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter to light it up, even though they did during the scrimmage game, and that was pretty cool to see. But if our run game is blowing holes open and allowing guys to run straight through, you let them do it. And I'm not really going to blame the offensive. The offensive line was the best part of this game. And I'm not going to blame them when they've given Trevor nothing but time through 2 games. That Trey Hendrickson pressure was one. It was kind of an anomaly. Walker Little got beat. And then they had 1 sack at the very end, again, from Trey Hendrickson, the Bengals' best pass rusher. But the offensive line has been phenomenal. Robert Hainsey, I wish we had him 2 years ago. If we had him 2 years ago, we would have beat the Titans and went to the playoffs. Maybe even went to the playoffs the next year after that. Like, Doug Peterson might still have his job if we had Robert Hainsey. He's playing so incredibly well. And Patrick McCarry is playing pretty well. Ezra Cleveland, either he was hurt or he's just turned over a new leaf because he looks fantastic. And Anton Harrison is playing as good as he did his rookie year. So our offensive line looks great. And again, Bhayshul Tuten is such a star. Him and Travis Etienne, like, I love this 1-2 punch. And every time, and I love it because it feels like they're competing against each other. It feels like Bhayshul Tuten is like, nah, I want to be the running back 1. And Travis Etienne is like, okay, well, every time you think that you're going to outplay me, I'm going to outplay you. And it's making them better. Like, again, it's hard to explain, but everyone knows that Travis Etienne's spot was a little bit precarious coming into the season. And the way he's responded just gives me so much hope and faith and confidence in Etienne. I'm at the point where I'm like, I wish we had picked up the option so we could re-sign him, but we'll see what happens in the offseason. But it feels like they're both making each other better because Bhayshul Tuten, he runs like he's hungry to get to get the running back 1 spot on our team. And Travis Etienne runs like, no, I'm not giving it up. And it's great. We just need our wide receivers to have that same mindset. Like, we need Brian Thomas Jr. to run out there like Travis Hunter is coming for his spot. And we need Travis Hunter to play like, I want to take the wide receiver 1 spot from Brian Thomas Jr. That's the mentality I see when I see the way Etienne and Bhayshul Tuten run. Etienne is running harder than he ever has in his entire life, and Bhayshul Tuten is already shown that he's more explosive than I even thought he was going to be. He's playing better than every running back drafted ahead of him. 2 guys went in the first round. Ashton Genty is doing, he'll probably get better, so is Amari and Hampton. But if you ask who's the most explosive rookie back, Bhayshul Tuten. It's not even a question. He's outplaying every single running back this year. Just look at his touchdown. That's a Bijan Robinson type of move. Stuck his foot in the ground. He made the beautiful thing about that is like when you have players that can do that, he nullified like 3 or 4 Bengals defenders on that one play, just taking it in a touchdown, which means you can have blockers free up for other guys. And it also means the Bengals have to allow other defenses are going to have to allocate more guys to stop Bhayshul Tuten, which means we'll have more guys to help get Bhayshul Tuten to the next level. So again, the running game and the offensive line, this is like for most Jaguars fan, we kind of expected the offensive line to be the issue this year because of the newness coming in. We did not expect the wide receiver room to be the issue, right? Because throughout 2 games, the offensive line has been the strength. And if we do anything this year, it's going to be because of the way Liam Cohen and our offensive line coordinator are getting the best out of these guys. Because really, all we did was upgrade guard, right? And Patrick McCurry, I think he's better than Brandon Scherf, but it hasn't been like, world beating. And we got Robert Hainsey. And this is showing me that scheme is so important because you look at the Bears, and the Bears made every move that I wanted us to make on the offensive line. They went out and got Drew Dalman. They traded for Joe. He's a guard for the Joe Tooney, who used to play for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl appearances. And they got Ben Johnson, the hottest coordinator on the market. Now, the Bears, again, they had a very tough schedule to begin with, but their offensive line doesn't look as good as the Jaguars does. Now, the Jaguars will truly be tested by the Texans' defensive line this week, and then we'll see if they're actually good or not. But we got the players that were just below, right? Patrick McCurry is not Joe Tooney. Robert Hainsey is not supposed to be Drew Dalman. Drew Dalman was the top center on the market. We got him for like half the price. And Liam Cohen was not Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was, the name. And now I'm like, so again, I apologize. Well, again, we'll have to see how the season goes. But right now, Liam Cohen is hitting all the right buttons for me. And I apologize for ever doubting him or wishing that we had gotten Ben Johnson instead because his offense is working. His offense is working. His offense worked enough to drop 35 points on the Bengals. We could have even dropped more than that if players just made the plays. And the players that are making the plays are the running backs, so we kind of expected our wide receivers to be making the plays. So with Brian Thomas Jr., a lot of people are trying to figure it out. Is he afraid of contact? What is it? It seems like it's more of a mental block because he's still been very physical in the run game. And he's a willing blocker. And he goes out there and he did a great job with that touchdown run in the first game. I thought that was a great way to get him involved and get his confidence going. And maybe we should have done that in this game, give him another end around but again, you can't just do an end around to Brian Thomas Jr. every time he's not feeling or he's not really popping, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe the psychologist can take a look at it and try to help him. I watched an episode of All American, and there's this thing called a mental block that players can go through, and it can affect their play, right? Or their stuck point is what they called it. I don't know, but you got to figure it out. We got to figure it out because he's our number 1 wide receiver. And if he's not our number 1 wide receiver, we have a serious issue because I don't think Travis Hunter is ready to be a number 1 wide receiver. I do think he's ready to be a number 1 cornerback. And me going into the season, I always thought that it's not just that a lot of people said Travis Hunter's going to be a better cornerback or whatever. My thought process was we need a cornerback more than we need a wide receiver. Now, that was before we got rid of Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. But my thought has always been we need a wide receiver more than we need a cornerback more than we need a wide receiver. And, they decided to go with both in Travis Hunter, and that led them to free up to get rid of Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. Okay, that's fine. But right now, our defense got torched yesterday, right? And Jamar Chase, again, T. Higgins, it makes sense. But as good as Tyson Campbell played in the opener versus Ted McMillan, this was a different beast. And he got beat a couple of times. And the problem was he was getting beat by Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So you just couldn't leave Tyson Campbell alone one-on-one against either of those guys because they were beating him consistently. And then when you throw in Jordan Lewis, didn't seem like he was on the field very much, which is kind of surprising to me. But then again, I think Jamar Chase must have moved into the slot and maybe Jordan Lewis covered him there. But it was hard to see. Jerrion Jones, I wasn't glad when he got hurt. Obviously, no one's happy when he got hurt. But he was getting beat, right? And he looked like he was ascending. I thought he was going to take over Tyson Campbell's spot. But it's clear he's not at that level yet. And so we put in Travis Hunter. And I thought Travis Hunter was solid. In coverage, I will die on this hill. That was not pass interference. Oh my God, that was not pass interference. That was a great play. Travis literally turned his head. First of all, he didn't make a play on the receiver. His arm wasn't even touching behind him. He made a play on the ball. He didn't swat the hands. He swatted the ball, and he turned his head. He clearly turned his head to look back. There's no rule saying your head has to be 180 degrees. Like the rule is you got to be you have to be looking at the ball and not the receiver you're covering in order for it to not be pass interference. That wasn't pass interference. That was the most ridiculous call I've seen all game, and it cost us the game. Because if that's not called, we just nail out the clock. Jaguars for 2-0. Ridiculous. Travis Hunter made a great play. But like they said, you can't rely on the refs because you know it would have been easier to win? Catch the 3rd and 5 for a touchdown. Or, and the thing is, like, all of that dynamically changes everything. If you catch that touchdown, we don't go for a field goal there, right? So then later on, when it ended up being 4th and 5 in our red zone, we do go for a field goal. So now we're up by 2 scores instead of having to score a touchdown there. The Bengals couldn't have won. It all came down to just catching that one pass, you know? And again, I still maintain if Trevor had just ran for that, it was either 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2. If he had just ran for it, he would have gotten it. And we could have continued to push the clock and put up more points. So, you know, we were bound to see a little bit of the kinks of Liam Cohen's offense. But from what I'm seeing, he's got answers for this stuff, and it's working. I think he probably needs to work to try to scheme Brian Thomas Jr. open a little bit more. And I think the problem that Brian Thomas Jr. is having to deal with is people are keying in on him. He's a target. He went out and played so well last year. That made him the target, right? Defenses are going to key on him. He's going to get doubled, and it's going to be tough. Now, in theory, that should open things up for Travis Hunter. But again, I think people are questioning whether, you know, the two-way thing is working. It's week 2 of the NFL season, right? He wasn't going to be a Pro Bowl cornerback and wide receiver in the first game. But if you ask me, Travis Hunter made the game-saving play, even though it was called for a stupid pass interference. If that's not called, that's a game-saving play, and Travis Hunter vaults to the conversation, to the top conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year. 100%, without a doubt, no question. I'll say that again. If they don't call that for pass interference because it wasn't pass interference, Travis Hunter would have saved the game on defense, and he would vaulted to the conversation, to the top conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year at least. Probably won't be any chance for him to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, but he literally would have saved the game. So, and again, you go back even before that. That shouldn't have even been an issue because Devin Lloyd wasn't down. He wasn't down. He landed on the guy and kicked. They blow the whistle too early. Let the play out. Let it happen. That way, we can go back and review it. Like, it's not, like, I would have been fine if they reviewed it and went back and said, you know what, okay, Devin Lloyd was down. His knee scraped the ground as he bounced off that Bengals defender, right? But because you blow the whistle, there's no chance for us to go back, review it, challenge it, test it out, because you blew the play dead. And he wasn't clearly down. So, and again, everyone's mindset is to play to the whistle, right? So maybe he doesn't get to the end zone if they don't blow the whistle right there. It sure looked like he did. But those are the things that kind of frustrate you when it feels like the game ended up being decided by the refs instead of by the plays that are being made on the field. So overall, it's a tough pill to swallow because with the Colts' emergence, I feel a lot better about our playoff chances going into this Texans game 2-0 than I do with us going 1-1. Now, again, I think we're a middle-of-the-pack squad. I think we're 1-1. I think there's a chance we could squeak into the playoffs. And I think my projections, like I had us beating the Chargers. I don't know about that anymore. But I did have us losing to the Cardinals. I don't really know about that anymore because the Cardinals aren't exactly the steamrolling, opponents. I think we could go back and forth with the Cardinals pretty easily. So there's a lot to consider and for us to take a look at. But overall, we should have won that game. We know we should have won that game, and it slipped through our fingers. And now the only question is, how's the rest of the team going to respond against the Texans? And I think the keys for beating the Texans is going to be the run game. Because the Texans, I think they've been able to stop the run pretty effectively, but their strength is their secondary, right? And their only weakness is their interior, because their edge guys are good, but their edge guys are better at getting to the quarterback than they are at defending the run. So, again, if we're able to exploit that a little bit and continue to use Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. in ways that, like, we should never, like, the worst thing that could happen is for the Texans to feel like they can leave Brian Thomas Jr. in single coverage with Derek Stingley, or leave Travis Hunter in single coverage with Kamari Lassiter. That will be bad because that means they don't fear our receivers going deep. Because what we need to do against them in order to stress and test their defense is stretch the field with those two and hit them with a punishing ground game, right? So don't let their corners play up, stretch the field, and use, dump off screens. Just use their speed to make the defense defend the whole field instead of stuffing the box, right? Because we've become a much more ground and pound outfit that maybe a lot of people were expecting, but the threat of those receivers is still there. It's not like they just disappear, right? And so now, again, if the receivers were showing better hands, maybe it would threaten the defense a little bit more. But that's the time to strike, right? If they are stuffing the box and allowing receivers to get free, Trevor checks to that play and lets it fly. And let's let our guys go make a play and get them that confidence back. Because they have the capability and the talent. It's not that's not a question. It's just something mentally is preventing the physical ability. And like Brian Thomas Jr., he kind of needed to make a move in order to get that first down. A lot of people thought he would have fallen on it. And I think he just tried to make the move before he made the catch, which we see happen in the NFL all the time. Pressure mounting, 4th and 5, all of that. Honestly, to me, that wasn't as egregious of a drop as Dyami Brown's. In the end zone, nobody around you. You beat your guy off the line, put the ball in your hands. We're not even in that situation to begin with, right? To me, that's where it really starts. But this is with the game on the line. And some people were right. I've heard commentators say maybe it was a better idea to kick the field goal because then now your backup quarterback has to drive the length of the field knowing that he has to have a touchdown instead of knowing that he just needs a field goal. And it changes up. That mental part analytics can't really quantify for. And so kicking the field goal there, it's like I understand Liam Cohen going for it, but I'm also like, I think if the plan was to go for it on 4th down, I don't think those were the right play calls because, like, when we lost 4 on the first play, the next play I would have ran a simple pass play to try to pick up 4, which I think they did and maybe just wasn't executed, and that's why Liam Cohen started getting all excited on the sideline. But to me, you don't run it on 3rd and 14 if you're going to pick up the 4 because, I mean, LaQuint Allen, I love LaQuint Allen, by the way. The way he picks up blitzes, he's like a 6th offensive lineman. I love him, right? Like he's great. And the only reason why I'd be okay with getting rid of Travis is because LaQuint Allen needs to be on the field more often because he's the best blitz picker-upper I've seen in a long time. So anyway, back to how we stress out the Texans. Right now, the Texans, I think, are this year's almost version of the Jets. And I hate to say it like that, but someone made up a good point. The Jets, they always say defense wins championships, and we hear that a lot. And that's kind of what the Jets believed, right? When they had a strong defense, and they went and got Aaron Rodgers to supercharge their offense. They had a top flight wide receiver. But it felt like they kind of built with the shiny stuff first, and then kind of tried to put the foundation after, right? So they got the shiny wide receiver, they got the shiny quarterback, shiny running back, and what's there left? Oh, the offensive line. Okay, let's just fill in some stuff, and it's not working. And it's messing up the entire offense. I think the Texans are experiencing that too. CJ Stroud, shiny quarterback, number 2 overall pick. Shiny wide receiver, Nico Collins. Running back, Joe Mixon. Now it's Nick Chubb, but Joe Mixon was kind of the shiny running back. But the offensive line can't do anything. So it almost doesn't matter. There's no foundation to build on. So, but even still, the Texans offense is still going to stress the Jaguars defense because Nico Collins is a beast. So we're going to have to cover him. We're going to have to double him. Now, fortunately, no one else really stresses you out that much. And so I think it would be good test to let Travis Hunter shadow Nico Collins and give Travis Hunter help, right? And let the safety. So Travis Hunter will know he has safety help, but going against Nico Collins all game will make him better. And then I think that we can allow Tyson Campbell to lock up whoever the number 2 guy is, whether that's Christian Kirk, because I think he's going to be back this week, or one of those rookie wide receivers. Let Tyson Campbell, one-on-one. I think I'm fine with that. Eric Murray is playing a lot better than I thought. Maybe he can give us some pointers on how to get past that Texans defense because their defense looks good. Like the Texans defense is good. But again, the problem is, and I think the problem that they experienced in that Buccaneers game, when your offense can't help out your defense by giving them time to rest, because the defense loses gas, offense doesn't. And that's what we experienced ourselves in 2017 to 2018. We had a great defense in 2017. The reason why it fell off in 2018 and then was completely gone by 2019 was because our offense in 2018 couldn't do anything. They couldn't move the ball. They'd be going 3 and out. The defense has to get right back out there. Defensive linemen are not meant to play the entire game over and over and over again. They're meant to play, get off the field. Their entire goal is to get off the field. If you let your defense get gassed, your defense isn't going to be as good. So, and I think we're starting to see that with the Texans defense. That's what happened on that last drive against the Buccaneers. They were gassed. They were tired. The offense didn't give them enough time to recuperate, and Baker Mayfield went down the field for the craziest drive I think you'll ever see. So there's a lot of different things. And again, going back to the Bengals game, to pick off Jake Browning 3 times and not win. I mean, I think Liam Cohen did a great job talking to his guys after the game. And again, when I look at our schedule coming up, the Colts are going to be tougher than I thought. We might end up splitting the series with them. I think we definitely need to sweep the Titans to have any chance of the playoffs. We need to at least split with the Texans to have any chance of the playoffs. And I do think there's some games that could still go our way. The Seahawks look a little tougher. I picked us to win. I don't know about that one. The Cardinals, I think we end up winning, but I do think we end up losing to the Chargers. I was kind of fearing the Raiders for a second, and then after watching the Chargers play them, I think we'll be able to handle the Raiders. And the Broncos don't really look as good as we thought they would be, but I still think that they're going to win up in Mile High. So, the only kind of game that we could maybe snatch is probably the 49ers game with Mac Jones playing if we end up splitting with the Colts. That's how razor thin the margin of error to get into the playoffs is. So being able to get this one would have meant huge, especially because the Bengals might be the team that we're fighting with for the playoffs. So we'll see. Again, kudos to Jake Browning and everything he did, right? I mean, he made so many mistakes in that game, but he stood up and continued to fight. I just can't believe we let him beat us twice. And that's a sobering reality Jaguars fans have to deal with. So let me know your thoughts. Are the Jaguars going to beat the Texans? Officially, I will take the Jaguars to win over the Texans. I think this is in our home stadium, and I think we're going to avenge Trevor Lawrence from the hit that he sustained last year. And I think, we have enough guys on offense to remember that and remember when it happened. And again, I don't necessarily think that Shahir was trying to hurt him or take him out or do damage to him. I just think he hit him too hard. It's just that simple. Whether it was on purpose or not, he hit him too hard. And we're not going to forget that. And I think we're going to come away with the win. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to come down to the wire like the Jaguars-Bengals game did. That was stressing me out the entire time. So let me know your thoughts. And never forget, it was always the Jags.